Hey card making friends, welcome back. Sandi here. Today it's Make Magic release day for Simon Says Stamps. So I've got a fun little video for you playing with this new Silhouette Sentiment stamp set. Isn't it adorable? I'm going to be doing some ink blending today with antique linen, evergreen BOUGH, and black soot Distress Oxide inks. And I'm just checking my brushes to make sure I haven't used them for something funky before we get started. And I like to line my ink pads up in the order of the colors that I'm going to be placing down on my card. And for today's project, I'm just using a piece of hammer mill white, and I've cut it at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 just because it's a quarter sheet. And then we're going to be cutting it down with the WONKY rectangles dies from Simon Says Stamps. So I've sped this up a little bit because it does take a few minutes to do a nice ink blending, but I'm just working my way through the three colors. And what I like to do is lay down one layer, and then I like to come back and do the second one. And one thing I will point out is don't blend the lighter colors over top of some of the dark color that's on your scrap paper, because your blending brush will pick up that color and it will muddy the piece that you're working on. So just a heads up there. So here I go again. I'm going to start with my second cover and blending just a little bit more and covering up any white spots, and also blending the color change lines together so that they look a little bit nicer. And I know the black is very, very dark, and I'm trying very hard not to go too dark on it because I want my stamp silhouette to show up. So then you want to heat set this because we're going to be doing some stamping over top of it. I'm placing it into my MISTI, and I'm going to do it part way up just so that I've got some room to play. And originally I thought I was going to do this at the bottom, but I've decided to move it to the middle and try and get an equal amount of each color as I am doing my stamping, and then in turn when I do my die cutting. So I've got it in there. I'm using the Clair the VersaFine Clair, Nocturne. This is a really, really rich dark black, and my ink pad is nice and juicy, so I usually only need to stamp it once. There we go. It does take a few minutes to dry, so you might want to heat set it. Just a heads up there. And next we're going to do a little bit of splattering. I'm using that middle gold from my Finetec pearlescent colors and just a little bit of water, blending it up, and then doing my splatter right over top of my art piece. That just adds a little bit of oomph and a little bit of glam to your little art piece. Isn't it pretty? Love it. Okay, so now it's time to die cut. I used the middle die for my die cutting today because I wanted a mini art piece in the middle of my card. So I'm just popping this out, and I used the purple tape to hold it in place while it ran through. And I'm going to be attaching it to a fog colored Simon Says Stamp top folding A2 card. And I decided to back it with a little bit of black matte just to make it pop a little bit more. Then I'm using the foam tape on the back of it. I just want to pop it up a little bit, so I add the strips all the way across the back. This is quite easy to do. Actually, it's a little awkward with that big roll, but you do get used to it. So just work your way across the back. There you go. And I'm going to center it, except I've got one piece hanging out, so I just want to do a little bit of a trim and get that in there. Next, I'm going to work on the sentiments, and I have a little trick here I like to play. I take the main image off of the sheet of the stamp set, and then I add some glue dots to the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss the entire thing all at once. So I've got a piece of black cardstock in there, and I've got the entire stamp set attached to the lid of my MISTI, and I'm using my Versamark ink pad to ink it all up. I'm going to stamp the entire thing at once, and then I'm going to emboss the entire thing at once. This is a really, really easy way to do a whole bunch of sentiments all at one time without having to take them off of the plastic sheet that they come on and then trying to, of course, align them back onto the sheet afterwards. And the glue dots just pull off of the plastic once you're finished. So then you just want to heat set it, and then you're going to pop it into your cutter and cut them all into strips. Fast and easy. And then when I go to store them, I just pop them into the back of my stamp case and leave them all in there. Okay, so we're ready to put the card together. I'm adding the sentiment to the top. So then I was looking at a few different sequin mixes and some Nouveau drops. I finally decided on the Simon Says Stamp Stay Gold sequins. I decided to just stick with the gold, mostly because my greens weren't quite the same color. So I'm going to use my gem picker, and I am going to just attach 3 of these little guys with my Barely Art glue. I figured with the gold dots in behind that was enough of embellishment for this card. You don't want to overdo your embellishments, otherwise it ends up looking a little bit messy. So here's my finished cards. The second one is done with Chipped Sapphire, Salty Ocean, Salvaged Patina, and Squeezed Lemonade. And I have listed all the products that I've used underneath this video today. There's also a link over to my website where you can see them there, and there are clickable links at the bottom of the blog post along with the card measurements for cutting all the pieces for the cards today. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving me a nice little comment and a thumbs up. And until next time, happy stamping. Toodles!